morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I think it's time to figure out exactly how much that Umbreon is worth. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone through a few times the most expensive cards in various categories, and one of the things we found out is that this Umbreon VMAX is crazy expensive. It is really the grail of recent cards, which is kind of impressive, because we've got Charizard cards. But if we look at recent cards, by recent cards I'm talking kind of Sword and Shield era, I mean, if Umbreon's not at the top, it's pretty gosh darn close, and I think it probably is. It is a nuts card. The question is, how much is it actually worth? And while we're talking Umbreon, we will have a chat about a couple of other Chase Umbreon, just as a quick side note at the end. But really, we are focusing on Umbreon VMAX, that being the alternate art that came around in Evolving Skies, a card that if you have pulled, let's say, make sure you get fair value for it. And also, as a little bit of a side note, I am doing this because a whole bunch of people have been in touch with me, being like, Wassy, I've seen this card, the value's all over the place. How much is it worth? What's the actual deal here? If you ever got any questions like that, do make sure you chuck them down in the comments, and I might get around to making them into a video. Could be fun, ladies and gentlemen. Could be fun. So, there's a few places we need to look, and I like to start off at TCG Player. One thing which is important to note, TCG Player, it's not the be-all and end-all. It is not some guarantee, a perfect guarantee of value. It is a decent starting point. No more than that, ladies and gentlemen, but it is a decent starting point. And they've got it listed for a market price of $332, and they've got it as low as $300. So you're looking around about a $300 to $330 card, which incidentally is crazy high, right? That is a huge amount of money for, you know, just one card. And this isn't some kind of super rare promo. This is a card that can just be pulled from a pack if you are crazy proper job over the top lucky. And I do understand that that's that's not always that likely. Now, TCG Player is very much a marketplace. Anyone can go on there and buy and sell and work things out like that. It's lovely, but it's not perfect. So we can look at a couple of other places here to try and figure out exactly what we're looking at. So if we go over to Troll and Toad as an example, there is one being sold by Troll and Toad, and it's $375. And we've done this a few times in a few videos, and generally speaking, a shop like Troll and Toad will be more expensive. Now, I know other sellers can sell on Troll and Toad, but you're generally talking professional sellers more than just a marketplace like TCG Player. It means that the cards generally end up being a little more expensive, because the shops are generally selling on the higher end, they've got other overheads, etc. So $375 from Troll and Toad should be taken as a real higher end value. So at the moment, we're really going anywhere from like $300 to $375. Obviously, the condition of the card is going to affect this, but we're not talking like base set Charizard here. And I've made this point before. Base set Charizard is a very old card. It's more than 20 years old at this stage. So the reality is that trying to get a perfect condition version of base set Charizard, it's possible, there's some out there, but shall we say it's far rarer. It's not going to happen all of the time. Whereas these newer cards, most of the time, you know, the expectation is that they're mint or pretty gosh darn close, and it's an exception if they're not. Whereas 20-year-old cards, it really is a question of how much are they actually going to be worth, and it is a little bit all over the place, frankly, because the condition is really all over the place. And then we can have a look at some sold listings here, and basically what we see is about what we would expect. And this is actually kind of perfect, because there are two on there which have sold, as I record this, in the past few hours, and one sold for $310 and one sold for $360. So I told you we're talking $300 to $375. Take a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom, and you get these two values. It's literally where we end up, which is honestly kind of funny for me, ladies and gentlemen. That is kind of funny. So It's a card where, and we do see this with higher end cards. Higher end cards, you do see a lot of variability, and that's kind of what we see here. TCG player, we're really looking at around about 320-ish. Troll and Toad, we're looking at about 375, and eBay, we're looking at somewhere in the region of about 340-ish. So I'm going to go ahead and say 335. And that's not a guarantee of value, okay? That is not me saying for absolute certain this is exactly what you are going to pay. No. But that is me saying that as a bit of a rough guide, this is about right. You will find some people selling it cheaper. You will sometimes have to pay a little bit more. But that is about right. And that is actually very interesting, because 335 might sound kind of expensive. Try picking up a Japanese version for $335. I dare you. I showed you this image the other day that shows that Umbreon is being sold for 54,700 yen. And I'm aware, right, that most of you probably don't convert yen in your head. Yen to dollars as a very rough guide. Divide by 100, take off 10%. That's roughly it. It's far from perfect, all right? But that comes in at $425. And the lovely Primal Lugia told me that sometimes Japanese shops use these yellow stickers for cards that aren't perfectly mint, so this might actually not be a perfectly mint version, and you're talking $90 more than we are paying for the English version. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, this is a redonkulous card. And what's interesting is, there are other chase versions of Umbreon VMAX, and they don't even come close. Not even remotely close. So, the one from Brilliant Stars. Your character super rare. The one that's got Karen on. You're still talking about full art. The artwork is all over the card. You're still talking about a real lovely piece of art commissioned by an artist. This isn't a generic full art card or a rainbow rare or anything like that. It is, to all intents and purposes, extremely similar to the alternate art VMAX. And yet, you're commanding about 10% of the price. Over on TCG Player, you're talking about $35. The market price and the selling price are so similar, it's not even really worth mucking about with them. About $35. Over on Troll and Toad, you're talking about $50. Again, we do expect to spend a little bit more on Troll and Toad because you are talking online store rather than a market price. So the prices are going to be inflated a little bit. That is to be expected. That's fairly standard. And if we head on over to eBay, we find that the last couple of solds are around about $35-ish. So rather than being a $335 card, we're talking around about a $35 card. And it's still a special, lovely artwork of the exact same card. And it is the exact same card. It's got that lovely ability that gusts when you evolve into it. It is the same card. It's just alternate artwork. But I think it's fair to say that when we're looking at the character super rare from Brilliant Stars, it's not the same. And partly it's artwork, people like the one from Evolving Skies better, and partly it's pull rate. The one from Evolving Skies is much harder to pull than the one from Brilliant Stars, so when you combine the less favourable artwork with the increased pull rates, that basically does it for you. But what's he, I hear you shout? What about the other Umbreon? Well, okay, look, they're fine. But again, they're not talking loads. The Rainbow Rare Umbreon, and I'm giving you rough values here, you're talking around about $40. Weirdly, this is actually a little bit higher than we tend to see for the character super rare, but apparently those pull rates are just a little bit higher. And to be fair, I showed you the other day, the single prices for Brilliant Stars are they are crashing. And I say that as a brilliant thing, because that's going to be awesome. We've also got the alternate art of Umbreon V. That one came around in Evolving Skies as well. This one is absolutely wonderful. This is another one that I think it's fair to say people are absolutely enamored with. But honestly, you're not talking about a hideously expensive card. Around about $85, $90 here. Yeah, about $85 to $90 is about right. I did see one that actually sold for $42. Somebody got a bargain, but call that one around $85 as a very, very rough guide. And then I suppose we could talk about the full art of the V while we're here as well. But this is, look, it's not one to get terribly excited about. I don't like the artwork anywhere near as much. You're talking about a $25 card. Not a bad card, don't get me wrong. But shall we say that there's a big drop? I mean, honestly, the clear second place here is the alternate art V from Evolving Skies. But the pull rates in Evolving Skies, because there are just so many of these brilliant cards, the pull rates are quite a bit lower. And that does explain why we end up with so many of these cards just attracting that much value. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. That's the rough prices. Again, I am not making some kind of guarantee here. I am just showing you a rough guide. That's what I can do, but now it's over to you guys. Have you pulled any of these Umbreon? Do you want any of these Umbreon? Have you bought them? Did you get a good bargain, etc.? Let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.